The Supreme Court has just rejected Donald Trump's final appeal in a decision that shatters his last line of defense. And as if that were not catastrophic enough for the MAGA world, Melania Trump is dropping a bombshell that proves she is finally making her move to save herself and her future from the wreckage of her husband's collapsing empire. You need to stop what you are doing and listen to every single word I am about to say, because the walls are not just closing in on Donald Trump. They have officially crushed him. The highest court in the land, a court that he thought he owned, a court that he stacked with his own appointees, has just told him no. They have told him that he is not a king. They have told him that he is not immune. And in doing so, they have paved the way for justice to finally, mercilessly be served. But the political earthquake does not stop there. While Donald Trump is screaming into the void of social media about this legal defeat, the person closest to him, a woman who knows where all the bodies are buried, is signaling that she is done playing the role of the dutiful wife. Melania is making a strategic exit, and the information she is reportedly prepared to leverage is going to destroy whatever is left of the Republican Party's defense of this criminal enterprise. Let us be absolutely clear about what this Supreme Court ruling means, because the mainstream media is going to try to soften the blow. They will use legal jargon to confuse you, but I speak to you as a prosecutor. I speak to you as someone who has stood in a courtroom and looked criminals in the eye. This ruling is the end of the road. There are no more delays. There are no more appeals. There are no more tricks. Donald Trump has run out of runway. The Supreme Court has rejected his claim of absolute immunity, affirming that no citizen, not even a former president, is above the law. This decision strips him of the armor he has worn for decades. He is now naked before the law. He is now vulnerable to the full weight of the sentences that are coming his way. And make no mistake, he is terrified. You can see it in his eyes. You can hear it in the desperation of his voice. He knows that without the protection of the presidency, and now without the protection of the Supreme Court, he is just another convict awaiting his fate. But here's where the story gets even more devastating for the Republican establishment. While Donald Trump is absorbing this legal body blow, Melania Trump is reportedly executing a plan that she has likely been refining for years. We are hearing reports, we are seeing the signs, and we are watching the bombshell drop. Melania is prioritizing her own survival and the financial security of her son over the loyalty that Donald Trump demands. This is not just a marital spat. This is a business decision. Melania knows that the ship is sinking. She knows that the assets are going to be seized. She knows that the brand is toxic. And she is not going to go down with the captain. Do you understand the implications of this? If Melania cooperates, if she provides testimony or documentation to secure her own immunity or to secure her share of the remaining assets, it is game over. She has lived in that house. She has traveled on those planes. She has signed the tax returns. She knows everything. I want you to pause and think about the betrayal that this represents to the MAGA movement. For years, they sold you the image of a strong, united First Family. They sold you a lie. They told you that they were fighting for you when in reality they were fighting for themselves. And now, when the pressure is at its absolute peak, the facade is crumbling. Melania is looking out for Melania. Donald is looking out for Donald. And you, the American voter, are left to pick up the pieces of the democracy they tried to destroy. This is what happens when you build a movement on grift and greed. Eventually, the thieves turn on each other. Eventually, the loyalty tests fail. And right now, we are witnessing the most high-profile turning of the tables in American history. The Republicans in Congress who have embarrassed themselves defending this man must be shaking in their boots. Because if Melania talks, if she corroborates the stories of obstruction, of financial fraud, of classified documents, then every single Republican who stood by him is complicit in the cover-up. Do not let the Republicans gaslight you into thinking this supreme. Court rejection is political persecution. That is their favorite phrase. It is their shield against accountability. But think about the logic. This is a conservative court. This is a court with a supermajority of Republican appointees. If even they could not find a way to twist the Constitution to save Donald Trump, it proves just how weak, how baseless, and how criminal his arguments were. They had every incentive to help him. They had every ideological reason to back him. But the law was so clear, the crimes were so egregious that they had to cut him loose to save the legitimacy of the institution itself. Donald Trump has become too toxic, even for the judges he put on the bench. He is radioactive, and now he is alone. Stay with me, because the financial angle of this Melania bombshell is critical. We know that Donald Trump's wealth has always been a house of cards. We know about the civil fraud judgments. We know about the mounting legal fees. And now we have the Supreme Court opening the door for criminal penalties. Melania is a smart woman. She knows how to read a balance sheet. She sees the liabilities piling up. She sees the fines that are going to drain the Trump organization dry. Her move to save herself is likely a move to ring fence whatever assets she can for her son, Barron. She is dropping this bombshell now because she knows there will be nothing left if she waits. She is signaling to the prosecutors that she is a separate entity. She is signaling that she is not part of the criminal conspiracy, and that separation is damning. It is an admission that criminal activity occurred, and she wants no part of the fallout. Let us talk about what this means for the Republican Party. They are currently stuck in a nightmare of their own making. They have tied their entire identity to a man who has just been rejected by the Supreme Court and is being abandoned by his wife. They have no plan B. They have no other leader. They spent years purging anyone with a conscience, anyone who dared to speak the truth, and now they are left with a cult of personality centered around a man who is legally confirmed to be a loser. They told you he was a winner. They told you he was a genius. But a genius does not get his final appeal rejected. A winner does not have his spouse negotiating an exit strategy in the middle of a campaign. The Republican Party is not a political party anymore. It is a hostage situation. And the hostage taker has just run out of ammunition. You need to understand that this is a moment of extreme danger for our country. A wounded animal is the most dangerous. Donald Trump knows that jail is now a real, tangible possibility. He knows that his family is fracturing. He knows that his legal avenues are closed. This is when he will lash out. This is when he will try to incite violence. This is when he will try to tear down the pillars of our society because he cannot handle the bruising of his ego. We must be vigilant. We must not be complacent. Just because the Supreme Court ruled against him does not mean the threat is gone. It means the threat is evolving. He will try to delegitimize the court. He will try to claim that the system is rigged. He will try to burn it all down. And we must be the firewall that stops him. I want to address the women of America specifically right now. Look at Melania. Look at what she is doing. She is showing you that loyalty to a man like Donald Trump is a one-way street that leads to ruin. She's showing you that in the world of MAGA, women are props until they become liabilities. But she is also showing you that it is possible to break free. It is possible to say no more. If Melania Trump can turn her back on the toxicity of MAGA to save herself, then surely the suburban women, the independent voters, and the mothers of this country can turn their backs on the Republican Party that enabled him. This is a wake-up call. The chaos that surrounds Donald Trump is not accidental. It is inevitable. It is who he is. And we cannot allow that chaos to return to the White House. The bombshell that Melania is dropping is not just about divorce or money. It is about the destruction of the Trump myth. The myth that he is a strong man who commands loyalty. The myth that he is a brilliant negotiator. The myth that he is the patriarch of a perfect family. All of that is being exposed as a fraud. And when the myth dies, the movement dies. The MAGA hat is not a symbol of rebellion. It is a symbol of gullibility. It is a symbol of people who are conned by a man who cannot even keep his own house in order. We are watching the deconstruction of a cult in real time. It is ugly, it is messy, and it is necessary. Now, let me tell you what the Republicans do not want you to focus on. They want you to ignore the substance of the cases that the Supreme Court just allowed to proceed. They want you to ignore the fact that these cases involve stealing nuclear secrets. They involve trying to overturn a free and fair election. They involve jeopardizing the lives of our intelligence officers. These are not victimless crimes. These are crimes against the United States of America. And the fact that Melania is distancing herself suggests that she knows the evidence is overwhelming. She knows that there is no defense for hoarding classified documents in a bathroom. She knows that there is no defense for calling election officials and demanding they find votes. She is getting out before the full truth comes out in a criminal trial that will now certainly happen. We must also talk about the message this sends to the world. For years, our allies have looked at us with concern. They have wondered if the American experiment was failing. They have wondered if a demagogue could truly shatter our institutions. This Supreme Court ruling is a beacon of hope. It tells the world that the rule of law still matters here. It tells the world that our system acts as a check on tyranny. But we have to finish the job. We have to ensure that this ruling translates into accountability. We cannot let Donald Trump delay his trials any longer. The Supreme Court has spoken. The appeals are over. Now the trials must begin. And the American people deserve to see the evidence. They deserve to hear the testimony. And they deserve a verdict. I can tell you from experience that when a co-conspirator, even a witness with spousal privilege, decides to flip, the mood in the defense room changes instantly. It goes from confidence to panic. Donald Trump's legal team is likely in chaos right now. They were banking on the Supreme Court saving them. They were banking on Melania staying silent. Both of those bets have failed. They are now facing a prosecution with no shield and a potential star witness who lived in the residence. This is the worst case scenario for Donald Trump, and it is the best case scenario for justice. Let us not forget the role of the vice president in this narrative. The Republicans have spent years attacking me, attacking President Biden, attacking anyone who dared to stand up to their bully. They called us weak. They called us incompetent. But look at who is standing strong today. Look at who is upholding the Constitution. And look at who is crumbling. We did not weaponize the justice system. We simply let it work. We trusted that the truth would eventually prevail. And today that trust has been vindicated. The contrast could not be clearer. On one side, you have a Democratic Party that respects the rule of law. On the other side, you have a Republican Party led by a desperate man who is being rejected by the courts and abandoned by his family. You have to ask yourself, why did Melania wait until now? Why did she wait until the Supreme Court rejection was final? It is because she understands power. She waited until he was at his weakest moment to strike. That is cold, that is calculated, and it tells you everything you need to know about the transactional nature of the Trump orbit. There is no love there. There is no loyalty. There is only leverage. And right now, Melania has all the leverage and Donald has none. She is holding a grenade and she just pulled the pin. So what happens next? The Republicans will try to distract you. They will try to manufacture a new crisis. They will try to blame the deep state. Do not listen to them. Keep your eyes on the facts. The Supreme Court said rejected. Melania said, I am out. Those are the facts. The timeline is accelerating. The trials are coming, and the consequences are finally arriving at Donald Trump's doorstep. He has spent his entire life running away from the consequences of his actions. He has sued, he has settled, he has lied, and he has bullied, but he cannot sue the Supreme Court. He cannot settle a criminal conviction, and he cannot bully his way out of a prison cell. This is a victory for every American who believes in honesty. It is a victory for every American who believes that character matters. We have endured years of chaos. We have endured years of division, but the fever is breaking. The rejection of this appeal is the fever breaking. The fracturing of the Trump family is the fever breaking. We are seeing the beginning of the end of the darkest chapter in our modern political history. But we must remain focused. We must not take our foot off the gas. We must show up at the polls and reject not just Donald Trump, but every single Republican who enabled him. They are all complicit. They all own this. I want you to share this message. I want you to tell your friends and family what is really happening. Do not let them get their news from a 30-second soundbite that hides the truth. Tell them that the Supreme Court has stripped Donald Trump of his protection. Tell them that Melania is signaling the end. Tell them that justice is coming. We are the ones who have to carry this message. We are the ones who have to defend our democracy. The system has done its part. The court has done its part. Now, it is up to us to finish it. We are going to win this fight. We are going to turn the page, and we are going to ensure that no one, absolutely no one, is ever allowed to threaten our republic like this again. The era of Trump is ending, and the era of accountability has begun.